Okay gamers, time for the monk. I'm finally doing the monk class. This is going to be an extensive video, so I'll probably end up doing it in 2 parts, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll put it in one and just say, there it is. So anyways, I'm going to have to go over all the talents and class skills since the Panda Monk, or monks in general, are new, so there's nothing that anyone knows about them unless you're in the beta. But just to go over everything, like I'm going to in every video, if I would hit the right key. Okay, we're just going to start from here. There is a couple missing talents at this point because they haven't figured everything out yet, and everything is subject to change, especially considering it is a brand new class and the new talent system and everything. So woohoo! Let's just go ahead and start. Level 15, Celerity. You can roll and Chi Torpedo more often, reducing the cooldown by 5 seconds. Which Chi Torpedo and roll is basically a dodge type mechanic. You can't actually dodge out of the way of things, but it's more, I guess, would be more like a mage blink. It moves you away faster so you can get out of the way of things and such. Tiger's Lust. 1 minute cooldown, requires 1 Chi, instantly clears the target of all immobilizing and movement impairing effects, and increases their movement speed by 70%. Now, Chi is what the monks use as a build-up technique, kind of like combo points, except they keep them. And when you get a certain amount of Chi, you can use certain abilities. Now, Momentum. Every time you roll or Chi Torpedo, your movement speed is increased by 25% for 10 seconds, stacks up to 2 times. Now, with roll, I'm not sure about Chi Torpedo because I haven't used it yet, but with roll you are able to roll twice before the cooldown ensues, which the cooldown for roll is actually, I don't know. Oh, it's actually, looks like 10 seconds or 9 seconds per roll. So, yeah. Power Strikes. Your jab, or level 30 jab. Power Strikes, your jab generates an additional Chi when used. This effect has a 15-second cooldown. If you are already at maximum Chi, a Chi sphere will be summoned near you. And then I got a big ram person in my face. Awesome. Ascendance. Increases the maximum amount of Chi by 1. Jinyu Cider. 1.5 minute cooldown, instantly restores all your Chi. Level 45, Rushing Jade Wind. 45-second cooldown, requires 2 Chi. Sends out a whirling tornado towards the enemy, stunning them for 30 seconds, but causing them to be immune to all damage. While active, use Rushing Jade Wind again to choose a destination that will target the target will attempt to travel towards at an increased speed. Charging Ox Wave requires 1 Chi and it has a 1 minute cooldown. A mighty ox of effigy rushes towards the target, stunning all enemies within its path for 3 seconds. When the ox reaches the enemy, they and all nearby enemies within 40 yards are knocked back a short distance. Leg Sweep requires 1 Chi and has a 25-second cooldown. You knock down all enemies within 5 yards, effectively stunning them for 6 seconds. Level 60, Healing Elixirs. Anytime you drink from a brew or tea, which is abilities they have to do certain things, which I'll be going over. Anytime you drink from a brew or tea, you gain 10% of your total health. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. Dampen Harm, 1 Chi, 30-second cooldown. You dampen the damage from the most harmful attacks done to you. The next 3 attacks that deal damage equal 10% more of your total health are reduced in half. And then the mystery talent, coming soon. Level 75, Ring of Peace. 2 minute cooldown, forms a sanctuary around you, causing all enemies to be unable to attack or cast harmful spells while within it. Lasts 10 seconds. So basically pacifies anyone that you put it on. And then a mystery talent, and Life Cocoon, requires 2 Chi and has a 2 minute cooldown. Encases the target in a cocoon of Chi energy, healing them for 5% of their total health every 1 second and causing them to be immune to all harmful damage and effects. While in the cocoon, the target moves at 50% reduced speed and is unable to attack or cast spells. So given it is a heal for someone random, but it does hinder them in that form too. Level 90, once it hits up to that point, you got Chi Bind with a 1 minute cooldown. Binds yourself to your targeted statue with a tether, which is a statue is actually sort of like a totem item that they can put out, which I'll also be going over. They have different abilities depending on what specialization you are. Right now I have Windwalker, which is the DPS spec, and Mistweaver, which is the healing spec. They also have Brewmaster, which is tank. So I'll be going over each of those. I won't be able to go over Brewmaster since you can't actually change specializations in the beta yet. They haven't added in that for the talent trainers. Okay, so anyways, Chi Bind. Bind yourself to your targeted statue with a tether of Chi energy, causing any friend or foe caught in its path to take X damage or Y healing. Rolling Force Globe. 2 minute cooldown, requires 1 Chi. You summon a globe of Chi energy, dealing damage and healing all targets within its path within 50 yards. While it's traveling, you can discharge the globe, dealing X damage or healing to all targets at its current location and reducing or increasing all targets' movement speed by 70% for 3 seconds, but canceling the sphere. Then Chi Torpedo. Oh, that's why I don't have Chi Torpedo, because it's level 90. Torpedo a distance in front of you, dealing 7,700 to 10,000 damage to all enemies within its and healing to all allies in your path. Wow, I cannot talk, and I never can talk on these. I hate reading things. Terrible at reading. Yeah, one problem the monk is having right now with the class change is every time you change spec, the points leave the talent tree. So yeah, we'll just go right through here real fast. And yeah. So once you pick your specialization, you get all the skills that go along with Windwalker. They don't have any glyphs really yet. They have Chi Wave, they have 2 majors, which Chi Wave, when you deal damage with Chi Wave, you stun the target for 1 second. Or Expel Harm. Your Expel Harm can now be cast on any friendly target, which makes it a heal for anyone, which is good for Mistweaver. And yeah, as I was saying, you got Brewmaster, which they get a few abilities of their own: Shuffle, Dizzying Haze, Breath of Fire, and Guard. Shuffle. You shuffle around, causing the next 3 melee attacks to be staggered. While shuffling, you cannot move, attack, or cast spells that last 6 seconds. Stagger. You shrug off attacks, causing 50% of the damage to happen instantly, and the remaining 50% to be divided over 9 seconds. Dizzying Haze. 10 energy. You hurl a keg of your finest brew, reducing movement speed of all enemies within 8 yards by 15%. Deals a high amount of threat. Affected targets have a 3% chance to have their attacks misfire and strike themselves instead for 14,000 some odd damage. Stacks up to 3 times. Breath of Fire. 2 Chi, 15-second cooldown. Breathes fire onto the target, causing 6,000 or so damage. Damage is multiplied by the number of Dizzying Haze stacks on the target. And then Guard. Requires 2 Chi and it's a 30-second cooldown. Your guard against future attacks, absorbing 33,000 damage for 8 seconds. Any heals you apply to yourself while guarding are increased by 30%. And you may be wondering what the red that says requires Ox stance. Well, monks get different stances, much like warrior or auras that pallies you used to have before this. Every monk gets Stance of the Fierce Tiger once they get to the level to obtain it. It increases their damage by 20%. Now when you're Mistweaver, it gives you another stance, which is called, I want to say, Wind Serpent? Or Wise Serpent. Stance of the Wise Serpent. Increases your healing done by 20% and replaces your energy resource to mana. Also grants hit rating equal to any spirit gained from items. Now, right now, it's kind of weird with how that's working. Yeah, they're leather wearers. They don't go anything past that. So monks only wear leather. They are an agility using class for their tank and damage. But Mistweaver, they do use intellect gear, though the intellect on the gear does not increase the mana pool they have. Their mana pool at the moment stays the same whether you have agility gear on or intellect gear on. though it does increase your healing and spell critical with your healing spells if you put on the healing gear. Though one weird thing is, one of their healing spells called Healing Sphere actually heals for more if you have the agility gear on than it does if you have the intelligence gear on. I'm sure this will all be fixed at some point. That's how it's working right now. But you'll definitely want to have intellect gear on when healing with a monk. The one glitch they have with the healing spells right now is a couple of their healing spells that are supposed to generate chi when cast don't generate that chi, so you can't use other certain abilities that require chi for you to heal. So it makes it really difficult to actually heal as a monk right now. So after that, we'll go ahead and I'll show you the basic abilities that all monks get as they level, and then I'll show you the direct abilities that a Mistwalker gets and the direct ability actually each one gets. I'll show you what each one gets, since there's the tabs for it. Now with any panda you get Blackout Kick, which you kick a blast of chi energy dealing 15,000 to 20,000 physical damage. If the target is below 50% health, then they suffer an additional dot over 6 seconds. So basically, there's another ability that you do as a DPS, which is... Let me try and find it here. Oh, would help if I can remember what it's called. Oh, Tiger Palm. So yeah, Tiger Palm, it does an increased... deals an additional 1,046 additional damage if the target is above 50% health. So most of the time, if it's above 50% health, you're going to be wanting to use Tiger Palm because it does more damage. But the base damage of the Blackout Kick is higher than Tiger Palm if it's below 50%. So after 50%, you'll want to switch to Blackout Kick. So you get that extra dot as well, do more base damage on the same kind of attack. But anyways, that's just that part. Cherry Manatee is their way to gain mana back if they're a healer. For every 3 chi they consume, they gain a charge of Manatee. I know that sounds funny. Yeah, a Manatee, but mana tea. Use Manatee to consume the charges. Each charge restores 2% of your maximum mana. Manatee must be channeled, lasting 1 second per stack. Manatee can stack up to 50 times. So you can be sitting there for 50 seconds drinking water or drinking this Manatee to recharge your mana. But I'm pretty sure it can be used in combat. It just has to be channeled. Chi Wave. Actually, this is Mistweaver only. So we got Clobber, which depending on the weapon you're using, if you're using dual wielding, you actually get a different ability. I can't remember what it's actually called. Actually, I think it's in the passive weapon skills here. No. Way of the Monk. Okay, the Monk attunes himself differently depending on the weapon type. So if you dual wield one-handed weapons, your auto attack damage is increased by 40%. And if you're using a two-handed weapon like a staff or polearm, you increase your melee attack speed by 40%. Now, that doesn't give me the other ability because I don't actually have a one-hand on me to show you, but depending on what it is, you gain a different ability. Instead of Clobber, it would change to something else and do a different amount of damage. But each attack generates 1 chi with that. And if you are have the talent for it, it generates 2. Crackling Jade Lightning. It's 3,600 mana right now at this level of 86, or it's 40 energy. Channels Jade Lightning at the target, causing 28,000 nature damage over 5.48 seconds. I'm guessing that's 6 seconds if no haste. If the enemy attacks you while within melee range while victim to Crackling Jade Lightning, they are knocked back a short distance. This effect has an 8-second cooldown. Which is one weird thing about Crackling Jade Lightning right now is if you're channeling it and they hit you, it bumps the channel up. So it goes a little bit longer. It's been, every time I've used it, it keeps bumping up and going longer than the actual normal channel time. So, there are this new thing, designer notes, tells you the glitches and everything with the class in general, and does fireworks, and does a heart. Woohoo. Okay, so one thing that every class gets is Detox. Eliminates ailments from the friendly target, removing all harmful magic, poison, and bleed effects. Disable. You attempt to disable the target's movement, reducing their movement speed by 25%. Stacks up to 2 times, so up to 50%. If you disable a third time on a target, while they have 2 stacks, all stacks will be consumed and they will be rooted for 8 seconds, 3 seconds for PvP. Expel Harm. Instantly heals yourself for X amount of, or Y amount of healing, and causes 100% of the amount healed to instantly be dealt to a nearby enemy as damage within 10 yards. And then, like that glyph does, it'll make it so you can cast on anyone, not just yourself. Fortifying Brew. 3-minute cooldown, increases your health by 100%, but absorbs all healing taken while active. After Fortifying Brew ends, you will be healed for the amount absorbed. Lasts 20 seconds. Grapple Weapon. Basically a long distance disarm. 1-minute cooldown, you fire off a rope spear, grappling the target's weapons and shield, returning them to you. Depending on the quality of the weapon, your damage done, healing done, and damage reduction may be increased. Then Healing Sphere. This is the one that heals more with agility gear for some reason, but oh well. I'm actually going to show you this because there's something neat about... Actually, I'm going to go through the skills a little bit, so I'll show you that in the way it works. You form a healing sphere out of healing mists at a target location for 2 minutes. If allies walk through it, they consume the sphere, healing themselves for Y amount of healing. Maximum of 3 healing spheres can be active by the monk at any given time. So you can have 3 of them down on the ground. Jasmine Force Tea. You regenerate 1 chi every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. So you use it and you'll start generating 3 chi over 6 seconds. Legacy of the Emperor. You extol the words of the last emperor, increasing strength, agility, and intellect by 5%, so kings go. Meditation. 3-minute cooldown, reduces all damage taken by 99% and redirects to you all harmful spells cast against party or raid members within 30 yards, lasts 8 seconds. Being the victim of a melee attack will break your meditation, canceling the effect. Paralysis. 15-second cooldown and costs mana, I think it's 40 energy. You cause the target's muscles to contract, incapacitating them for 30 seconds. If done from behind the target, the duration is doubled. Only one target can be victim to paralysis at any given time. Any damage taken will cancel the effect. Then they got their taunt called Provoke. You mock the target, causing them to rush toward and attack you and increased 50% movement speed. So they actually move faster towards you as well. If targeting your statue of the Black Ox, you provoke all enemies within 8 yards of in the radius of your statue. So if you target your statue when you're tank and you have an ox statue, you taunt your statue, it'll taunt everything within 8 yards. Then we got racial abilities. Quaking Palm, every panda will have it. It's got 2-minute cooldown, strikes the target with lightning speed, incapacitating them for 4 seconds, and turns off your attack, so you don't hit them again after that and quit it. Resuscitate, returns the spirit to the body. It's the resurrect spell. Cast time is reduced by 50% if the target is within melee range. Then you got your roll, which looks like so. And then, as I said, I'll go over the Mistweaver stuff shortly. Spear hand attack requires Ox stance or Tiger stance, so you can't do it while healing. Or you can, but you'd have to switch the stance and do it, then switch back. You jab the target in the throat, interrupting their spell cast and preventing any spell in that school from being cast for 5 seconds. If the enemy is facing you when cast, they are also silenced out of all schools for 5 seconds. Spinning Crane Kick. You spin while kicking in the air, dealing X amount of damage every 1 second to all nearby enemies within 8 yards. Movement speed is reduced by 30%, lasts 3 seconds. And I told you that. Okay, so here's one of the statues. This is one I'll just go over it since I'm passing by it so I could tell you about the statues. It's one you only get when you're Mistweaver. You drop it down, you can drop 2 of them. They're AoE'd and then they got a cast time. You can drop them down wherever you want. and then they have a cooldown of, I want to say 3 minutes. So this one has eminence. When the monk deals damage, the summoned Jade Serpent statues will heal the lowest health nearby target within 20 yards, equal to 50% of the damage done. Then Serpent Salve, if you click the statue, allies can right-click the statue to instantly be healed for Y amount of healing. It has 10 charges, so basically a light well of sorts, which means no one will ever use it. Then we got the Tiger Palm, which I said over 50% you want to use. And then their most OP ability, which does not work in PvP, remember. So just remember that when I tell you this spell, or this ability. Requires 3 chi, has a 1.5 minute cooldown. You exploit the enemy target's weakest point, instantly killing them. So yes, if they are at near full health and you have more health than them at the time, you use this. It's a 100, at the moment for me, is 129,000 K. Or 129k, 129,000 hit. It is ridiculous. It instantly kills them. They die. Game over. So yeah. So racial, we got bouncy. They take half fall damage because they are big and they bounce, apparently. They can do a wield. They are Epicurean. Your love of food allows you to receive double the stats from well-fed effects. Fighting style. Your monk's jab. Oh yeah, the one-handed ability is called jab, if you're using fist weapons as well. The monk's jab ability will change depending on what weapon is equipped, altering the monk's fighting style appearance. Damage and resource costs remain the same. Gourmand. Your cooking skill is increased by 15. Inner Peace. Your rested experience bonus lasts twice as long as normal as a panda. Internal Medicine. Your detox spell now also clears all magical spell effects when used. Although these are passive, not racial, so I don't know if that's just for the beta or what, but I'm going to say that this is a panda thing, or monk thing. Oh no, it is racial. Durr. Never mind. On I go. Mistweaver passive allows you to retain 50% of your mana regeneration while in combat. The mastery for Mistweaver, you have a percentage chance when you heal to summon a soul sphere near an injured ally. And I think that's just a dot heal or something like that. Teachings of the Monastery. You become adept in the ways of the Mistweaver, amplifying 3 of your abilities. Surging Mist. Surging Mist. When you Tiger Palm or Expel Harm, the cast time of your next Surging Mist is reduced by 20%. Stacks up to 5 times. Expel Harm no longer has a cooldown. Spinning Crane Kick deals damage while in the stance of the Wise Serpent. You heal nearby enemies equal to 100% of the damage done. The Doctor's In. Increased healing received from bandages by 25%. Woohoo. Does not work in battlegrounds and arenas. Awesome. The Quick and the Dead. Increase health. Oh wait, that's for... Never mind. Guild perks. Tiger Strikes. You have a 10% chance to gain Tiger Strikes when you auto-attack, increasing your attack speed by 50% and causing your next 4 auto-attacks to cause an extra attack. Way of the Monk. The monk attunes himself directly or differently depending on the weapon type. I already read that. I am going over and over the same things. Woo! So monks can use two-handed polearms, staves, dual-wield, axe, fist, weapons, maces, and swords. And as far as that goes, I'll be going over the later abilities. Level 90, the Wisdom of the Four Winds is the flying ability in Pandaria, so that's nothing big. Most of the classes are only going to get 2 abilities along the way, so I'll be going over them later, though. So as far as that goes, that is for that. I'll go over the class specifics, which is, we got the Chi Wave. You cause a wave of chi energy to flow through friend and foe, dealing damage to the enemies and healing to the friendlies. Bounces up to 5 times or bounces up to 5 times to targets within 20 yards. So it can bounce from good to bad, bad, whatever. Then Jasmine Force Tea, that's the one I already read. It's Mistweaver only. Renewing Mist. You surround the target with healing mist, restoring their health every 2 seconds for 15 seconds or 16 seconds, I think. Probably 16 seconds. Renewing Mist travels to nearby friendly targets up to 3 times, so if there's someone lower on health, the mist will travel to them and start healing them instead of you. Soothing Mist. This is one of the abilities that does not generate chi like it says it should. I know it says only 15% at the bottom, but heals a target over 8 seconds. If your healing done by Soothing Mist is completely effective, you have a 15% chance to generate 1 chi. But it generates 0 all the time. Surging Mist. This is the one that generates nothing, and it should every time. Heals the lowest health friendly target within 40 yards for Y amount of healing. Generates 1 chi. If cast while channeling Soothing Mist, Surging Mist will be instant, cast, and heal the target over all others. So what it means by here is you can actually start you can start... Where is it? This would help if I had something targeted. No, it doesn't work that way. So yeah, I'm fail on this. So I have to start it because I have a macro done and I can't heal myself. And while you do it, you can spam Surging Mist and it'll do extra healing in between, but it drains the mana so much because Surging Mist costs 6,600 mana at this level, and then the Soothing Mist is 2,400 mana plus 2,400 per second you channel it. So that's a lot of mana here taken up over time. Okay, so Thunder Focus Tea has an 8-second cooldown, requires 1 chi. You receive a jolt of energy, doubling the healing done by your next Surging Mist or Uplift within 10 seconds. Now, Uplift instantly refreshes the duration of all of your Renewing Mist periodic effects on allies and heals them for Y amount. That's all for Mistweaver. We got Windwalker. They get Energizing Brew, which is a 1-minute cooldown and requires the stance that they get. Regenerates 60 energy over 60 seconds. And yeah, that's easy enough. Fists of Fury. Pummels the target in front of you with rapid hand strikes, stunning them and dealing X amount of damage immediately and every 1 second for 4 seconds. Flying Serpent Kick, so much fun. You fly probably about 50 yards and you can stop it at any time. While traveling, use Flying Serpent Kick again to land yourself, dealing 300 damage to all enemies and slowing them for 70%. Yeah. So you just fly across the screen for a certain amount of time. You can't really steer. You just sort of fly in the direction you picked. And it does stop after a short amount of time. Legacy of the White Tiger. You honor the White Tiger's legacy, increasing mastery by 5, which is another ability like King's. It's just a second buff that you get, so you can do 2 separate buffs. Windwalker, Rising Sun Kick. You kick upwards, dealing X amount of damage, causing all targets within 8 yards to take an increased 10% damage from your abilities for 15 seconds. Spinning Fire Blossom deals 77 or deals X amount of physical damage to the first enemy target in front of you within 50 yards, rooting them for 2 seconds. If Spinning Fire Blossom travels further than 10 yards, the damage is increased by 50%. And then summon White Tiger Statue, the statue for Windwalker. Conjured Effigy, passive. When you consume 3 chi, your statue will conjure a White Tiger Effigy which travels toward the last enemy you attack, dealing X amount of damage. If the effigy travels for 5 seconds, it becomes lusted, moving at a greater speed and dealing 100% increased damage from what it was going to deal. Tiger Eye Brew. Causes your Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, and Blackout Kick to also hit 2 additional nearby enemies within 5 yards when they deal damage for 20 seconds. And passive talents. Muscle memory. Your jab now generates an additional chi. So with the talent and that, you'll generate 3 chi off of 1 jab or 1 clobber. Sparring. When you are attacked by a melee enemy in front of you, you begin to spar their attacks, increasing your chance to parry by 5% for 10 seconds. This effect has a 30-second cooldown. When you attack them back, sparring is amplified by an additional 5%, stacking up to 3 times. And Brewmaster. Okay, event harm. I don't think they get a ton of stuff, but I could be wrong. You reduce the damage taken by all nearby friendly targets within 10 yards by 20% and cause half of all remaining damage they take to be redirected to you. Last 15 seconds. Avert harm is cancelled if you reach 10% or lower health, so it doesn't kill you in the process. Breath of Fire, 15-second cooldown, breathes fire onto the target, causing X amount of damage. Damage is multiplied by the number of dizzying hazes stacked on the target. I think I've read that already, but oh yeah, I did when I was looking at the main skills. The core abilities. Clashing Ox Charge, 35-second cooldown. You and enemy target meet halfway, stunning the target for 2 seconds. Red Dizzying Haze, throw barrel on enemies. Elusive Brew, increases your chance to dodge melee and range attacks by 50% for 10 seconds. 45-second cooldown. Guard, read that. Keg Smash. You swing a keg of brew, dealing X amount of damage to the target and 2 nearby enemies and causing their next attack to misfire within 6 seconds, dealing X amount of damage to themselves instead of you. Generates 2 chi. And has an 8-second cooldown. Lair of the Ox, 20-second cooldown. Your Ox statue stirs hatred in the target, reducing their movement speed by 50% and causing them to attack your Black Ox statue for 8 seconds. The statue must be within 40 yards of the target. And of course, the statue must be active. Purifying Brew. Instantly purifies all your staggered damage. Shuffle, I've read that. Sturdy Ox. Reduces all damage taken by 20%, reduces the chance you'll be critically hit by 6%, increases your total health by 30%, and increases your chance to stagger damage by 25%. So that must be their new thing, staggering damage. Make it so that damage can hit you as a tank, and then it staggers out the remaining damage over a certain amount of time, like a dot. That might be what they're doing to all tanks, but it might just be for monks in general because maybe they have a pain suppression thing, mind over matter thing. Anyways, it might just be a tank thing. So, yeah. Then I've already read what Stagger does. Brewmaster Mastery reduces the after effect of stagger damage taken. Black Ox Statue. Summons the Black Ox Statue at your target location. Interacts with your Provoke and Lair of the Ox abilities. Guard, click effect. Allies can right-click the statue to gain the guard effect, absorbing damage. Any healing done by the monk is increased by 30% while guard is active. Guard has 10 charges. So Lightwell with shielding. I didn't read that one. That one. Your body and spirit swap locations, so I honestly actually don't know what that does. It has a 30-second cooldown and requires 1 chi. Then Transcendence. I think actually these are later skills. Like, honestly not sure. Transcendence. You split your body and spirit, leaving your spirit behind. It has a 3-minute cooldown. Use Transcendence Transfer to swap those locations. Alrighty. That sounds interesting. Brewmaster Training. You become adept in the ways of the Brewmaster, amplifying 2 of your spells. When you deal damage with Tiger Palm, and the amount of your next guard is increased by 5%. Lasts 30 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. Blackout Kick. When you parry, your next Blackout Kick will cost no chi and can be used on targets regardless of their health percentage. almost done here. Reduces the damage taken. Elusive Brawler is a mastery. Reduces damage taken by X% and increases the effect of your guard by Y%. And actually, that is about it for their skills. And considering I've gone on blabbering for about 35 minutes, I'm going to split this video now, because I'm sure you don't want to watch an hour of me talking about nothing, so you can just skip to the parts you want to see quicker. And I'm going to start in on the second one here now. I'm going to edit this one, upload it, then I'll start on the second one. So, this is Daniel. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe. You can get more of this fluffy stuff. Everyone say hi to Fluff Puncher. He loves you. Have a good one.